Alright, folks, in this part 2 of our K-5 review. Yeah, kind of. It's kind of just my thoughts. I mean, you know, dpreview.com does a really good review of these things. They go into every button and dial. These are, how about user impressions? Okay, that's what this is. We'll call it a review for brevity, but this is really my user impressions after a month and a half or so using this camera, maybe a month. It might be less than that because it seems like I've had this camera forever. I just enjoy it so much. It's just integrated into my workflow so seamlessly. All right, so if you've seen our location shoot of our model, you saw what we were doing here, and something interesting cropped up on that. I had a non-TTL flash in there, which was the Vivitar 285, which is around here somewhere. The old Vivitar 285. This is the new one I bought for 90 bucks from B&H. Since then, I've been getting them off of eBay. I picked up a few more just because they're, you know, this one's okay, but it's not as good as the build quality used to be. Mixed bag on that. A couple I got off of eBay. One of them I got off of eBay. Like the green light doesn't light up, but it works. It's an old Japan one. I got an old Korean one that's kind of like my workhorse one that I paid 50 bucks for, 40 bucks for, and it's perfect. And so that was a score. So, you know, considering they were about 50 bucks off of eBay, man, they're definitely worth picking up. Great flash. So anyway, I had the Vivitar 285 mounted up there for some fill flash, and if you check out that video, you'll see how I was doing it. When I say I was set to yellow, there's the settings. There's red, blue. I was at ISO 100, so yellow gives me f2, which is a couple stops, 3 stops under, which was perfect for fill flash. That worked out well. This dial here just tells you where what your settings are at. So yellow is f2. I could have put it at f4. I was shooting 5.6 though. That would have only been 1 stop under. It's not that accurate. I mean, you kind of dial it in so it looks good. You know, yellow worked out fine. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is the K-5, because it was a non-TTL flash, I was setting my apertures and my shutter speeds in aperture priority for a while, and I went somewhere where there was more light, and my shutter speed bumped up to, I was shooting kind of wide open to blur the background, like 2.8 on that lens, on the 50 to 135, and so the shutter speed bumped over 180, and 180 is the flash sync speed, and all of a sudden my flash quit working. And, you know, I got the model out there, I'm shooting, I'm not, you know, I don't have time to think about why my flash isn't working. So I didn't troubleshoot it, I just kind of messed around with it a little bit, and I switched over to Lumix actually. Started shooting with the Lumix, and I realized it wasn't the flash, because the flash was working fine on the Lumix. And a little while later I went back to the Pentax, and the flash was working again. And I got home, and I had to think about it for a while. And I figured it out. What it was if the flash, if the sync speed gets over 200, it gets over 180, okay? So I went from 160 to 200. The camera shuts your hot shoe off. And that was interesting. And I was able to recreate that, and so that's what happened. So, I mean, the bottom line is that's not a bad thing, because you just need to know about that, because it can catch you by surprise like it did me. But the reason you need to know about that is because, because your flash shuts off. But you know what? If your flash isn't working, you've exceeded your shutter speed, and you can't. The flash wouldn't work if you took the picture. The picture would be screwed up. In a way, that might be better, because right away you'd see that your picture got screwed up on the back if you were chimping. I don't know. It's 6 of one, half dozen another. I mean, you kind of notice your flash doesn't work also. So the flash quit working when I exceeded the shutter speed. You wouldn't get any usable pictures anyway if you exceed your flash sync speed with this flash. Now, if you have a Pentax dedicated flash unit, and they're relatively inexpensive compared to the Nikon and the Canon units. I mean, the Nikon and the Canon units are like 500 bucks. The Pentax one is like 380. I may just pick one of those up just for kicks and giggles, see how it is. Then you don't have a problem, because the flash and the camera talk to each other, and the camera knows what's going on. So that's not really a flaw in this K-5. That's just the fact that I was using it with a non-dedicated flash, and the camera was just doing what it knew to do to not ruin your picture. So that was something we discovered. Here's something Pentax does. It's the little things, you know. Here's something Pentax does. Yeah, if I can get it off. By the way, Kirk kind of dropped the ball on this. I had to order this from Korea, this plate for this grip. Even though this grip fits the K7 and the K5, so there's tons of cameras out there that this grip fits. Kirk does not support this grip, but there's a Korean manufacturer that does for the quick release plate. And they're Mestos, whatever that means in Korean, beats me. And this is a PD K5H. And it's a perfect plate, it's very nice. Shipping took about 2 weeks to get here from Korea. It's about comparable to the price of the Kirk plate. It's made as well as the Kirk plate. So you can get the L grip for the, you can get the L plate for the grip from them also off of eBay. Kirk doesn't make it anymore. They used to. Kirk does make the L grip for the camera, and I have that on order. It's coming. So here's something that Pentax does, all right? There's a space on the bottom of your grip for your little rubber cover over here, which is really cool. You won't lose that. But check this out. They made a little space for your little contact cover. That's the first grip I've ever had that had that deal there. Look at the weather sealing. There's rubber gasket there. I love the way Pentax does their closures. Here's, I've got the, I'm running it with the Pentax dedicated battery. There's a slot for a spare memory card. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's clever to put that there. Why don't I have a battery in the grip and just a battery in here? Because the battery lasts for 600 raw shots, which is more than enough for me. And I didn't want the weight, but I definitely wanted the vertical release. And that's what I was using that for, because I was doing verticals of that model for the senior portrait. So, you know, it's the little details like that. Okay, I mean, that's a great battery grip. And it takes 6 AA's and they work great. You can load this camera up with 6 AA lithium batteries, and it's really lightweight, and you get over 1,000 shots with it. I haven't done it, but that's what I've read online. So, can't beat that. But check that out. So we put our little cover there. None of the other cameras I've ever had that had grips had a place to put your cover. They had a place for these little caps, but they didn't have a place for the grip cap. So that's really way cool. And it's attention to detail like that that's just awesome. So we'll put that back on. And this grip is you know, for a battery grip, it's pretty solid. Canon had a problem when with the grip for the 20D, and I don't buy Canon grips anymore. I didn't for my 5D Mark II or my 7D. I think I had one for the 7D, but I never used it. But because the problem is you put it on a flash bracket and the grip would separate and the camera would just bounce around, and on a tripod it was really bad. The Canon grips were not really that solid. The 20D was a real problem. So another thing about the K5 that's really pretty fascinating, you know what, we're gonna have to go to part 3. So that was part 2 of K5 user impressions. Part 3, we're gonna talk about the LCD readout and the controls. So that'll be part 3. All right, every photo yours, going to part 3.